Dry space. Peter prefers pickled peppers over pizza any particular Friday. It's been so long setting up. I don't remember what I was gonna say. I know that's all a part of the trick to distract me from staring at the sun. Recently, I gave up everything of my old lifestyle. I cut off communication with everyone I knew, who I grew up with, all my friends and all my family, very spontaneously and without explanation. And I did it because I wanted to baptize myself with a new identity. I did it because I thought that I wasn't understood or appreciated. And it's not anyone's responsibility to, mollycoddle my emotions. Nobody owes me anything. And I don't owe anybody anything either. I don't owe an explanation. But that's kind of what this is. I was not satisfied by the priorities of the people that I held dear, and I thought it was them, but it's really just everyone everywhere whose priorities are in a state of disorder. What I mean about priorities is, I used this metaphor in a conversation recently. Let's say I am to carry something, or I'm to swim something from one location to another. Could be any menial task. Maybe I'm just meant to swim a grapefruit from one side of the pool to another. And this is my job. My job is to get the grapefruit from one side to the other. So it's given to me, and I'm also wearing a backpack full of bricks, and I start to swim the grapefruit, and I'm like, oh, this backpack full of unnecessary dead weight needs to be removed in order for me to efficiently perform my task. So I start swimming, and get a couple feet out, and then the boss, the man, master, whatever you call it, that state of being, that consciousness, says, "Why aren't you working?" The second I attempt to repair the mechanism. So stopping to remove the bricks from the backpack, thereby making my job easier and more efficient in the long run, is perceived as lazy, or is perceived as contrary to my goal. But from the grander spectrum, it is the more efficient way to do it. Only the short-sightedness of the boss, the man, the master, only sees the task and expects the task to be done without evolving in any way. So my whole life I felt this way. I've always wanted to change and update and repair the machine. No matter what job I've worked at, I always see a more efficient way to do things, and I propose this idea, and I'm always treated like I'm a child, or I'm an idiot, or I'm wasting their time, because they don't see and they don't care. They don't care that there's a better way to do things because they're getting what they want. Why would they make it easier for me when it doesn't affect them at all? I was married once, and I was working at a craft store. And the whole time that I worked there, I always had this pad in my pocket. And as I was working, I saw better ways to do things, and I always wrote them down. I had notes, and in the end, I had like 15 like full page, like typed out notes worth of improvements that would make the machine more efficient, that would make my job better, it would make everything more smooth. And proposed the ideas around the same time that they also did this kind of like revamping of the store. And the revamping was completely cosmetic. Like everything that they changed was just about their appearance. Nothing about how the things operated was improved. So we went through this enormous change of like redecorating the store, changing the appearance. Basically, it's just like putting on a new mask, but it was the same broken machine underneath. And it was at that moment that I realized that communication is only one way, and for as long as it works that way, I don't want to be a part of it. And I pretty much spontaneously quit my job. Like I said, I was married at the time, and when my ex-wife found out about it, she was furious. And it was one of a series of things that happened that helped to make the abortion happen. Besides a few other events that happened, that was one of the catalysts. And from her perspective, she thought I was lazy. But I also believe that she was in the consciousness of like the master-slave relationship, where I'm trying to remove the bricks, and when I stopped to remove the bricks, she thought that I was stopping because I was lazy, or that I was wasting time when I should be doing my task, which is carrying the grapefruit to the other side of the pool. So you're driving along the road and you see someone broke down. Like, if you pull over to help them, you are bringing the mechanism of reality together. You are connecting the cells on the earth grid, on the earth body, the earth organism, making everybody work in unison, because we're all in this together. Like, who drives by someone who's broken down, throws a can at them and says, "You lazy assholes"? Like, what good is that? How does that help or change or fix anything? But that's the mentality that we live in every day. Like, when somebody stops to try to make things better or fix something that's broken, when somebody stops to fix something that's broken, they're treated like they're focusing on the wrong thing. But really, it's a suicidal mentality, where if you perceive something that's broken as a burden, like, it's really just a reflection of your own brokenness. And if you don't want to help somebody else that's broken and then that needs help, you're actually choosing your own destruction, and you're actually making a commitment to brokenness instead of a commitment to evolution. You can't be angry at the bugs in the machine. It doesn't serve any purpose. I mean, if you're a computer programmer and you're making a program, are you going to keep upgrading it and keep making it more efficient? Or are you going to bitch and cry about the times that it's difficult, when really every error is a lesson, and your reaction reveals your mentality, whether in that moment you feel alive and full of inspiration, or whether you feel suicidal. Really, any commitment to de-evolution is a small-scale commitment to suicide, in the same way that every cigarette you smoke is like a small-scale commitment to suicide. So every day we're making decisions whether we want to live or die. Some choices are bigger than others. I wanted to live, and I felt that the people around me wanted to die, because when I stopped to fix the machine, they all told me that I was wasting my time, or that it was too big, or that nobody will ever do this, or no, it's just too much of a task. Nobody wants to fix everything. It makes me think of a Nine Inch Nails song from the album Year Zero, which I highly recommend to anybody who hasn't heard it yet. Volumes and volumes of intelligent wisdom from the spirit world, very cleverly clothed to be palatable and understandable. It's basically about like a rebirth, it's about resetting the mind, resetting our nation to zero, eliminating all debts, eliminating all of our addictions to like poor mentalities and laziness, and just destroying the broken machine, making way for a new, better thing. But the lyrics were something along the lines of how the world is in a horrible state, and I'm sure somebody will try to figure it out. I'm gonna find the lyrics. I'm gonna post them right here, right there. I'm gonna put the lyrics right there. See? I had like a supernatural experience listening to that album. It was funny because it felt very profound. I was listening to it in a haunted house on a day that we had lost. Like I lived in a haunted house for a while. Had a lot of life-changing experiences because of it. One particular day there was a power outage, and I wasn't able to like do any of the things that I wanted to do. Or no, it was a power outage, I believe, followed by a loss of internet. So then I had power, but I didn't have the internet, so I couldn't do all the things that I normally do. So I just put on my Xbox and I listened to that album, which I'd heard before, but this time it struck me as particularly profound, and it really went to the core. And he spoke in a language that was like so much deeper than the mass, the mass-produced, mass-propagated language of everyday speech and media and internet. It was just like totally subconscious. And I saw it as like some sort of message that was like extremely important, but that needed to be expressed through those channels, because if it came through the main channels initially, it would be perceived as so threatening and so extreme of a change that it's very likely that he would have been assassinated in the same way that like Martin Luther King or like John Lennon or JFK. Anytime someone attempts to propose a change that's too great, too quickly, they're assassinated, mostly by the bankers and the manufacturers of the machine, because well, they're terrified of living without food. And when I say food, I mean us. I mean, we are food. We are spiritually eaten. by them. There are people who quit their jobs because they're lazy, and then there are people who quit their jobs because they don't believe in what they're doing anymore. And I quit everything. I quit my job, and I quit society. I destroyed everything that was associated with my previous identity, not only cutting off all of my connections, but destroying all the paperwork, my social security card, my license, my credit cards, my bills, all that shit. I just burned it all. It doesn't mean anything. I destroyed all of my old identity. I have nothing. I can't work. And it became so clear to me how easy it is to become homeless and overlooked and forgotten, and to just be stepped on and starved to death. Like, I've been homeless for about a year, but I have people that have looked for me and helped me and protected me and allowed me to get showers and change and whatever. So I've been hanging on by a thread. I don't have anything. I don't own anything. I have an uninsured car that's starting to break. I used to sleep in that a lot. So basically at any given moment, like, I could just, I don't know, get pulled over and put in jail or whatever. But it's a risk that I chose to take because I so strongly don't believe in the machine that I don't want to give it any more power. And if I were to allow it to take my money, if I were to allow it to fool me into thinking that I need it, then I would be helping it to grow. And what I want is independence. And independence means being able to survive. And we can function together as a whole and benefit each other, but we should also have the freedom to function as an individual, autonomous unit. And the government and the big business machine wants you to need it and continually pushes itself on you. And you have to draw the line somewhere because it will take forever. And it doesn't matter the irony of drawing the line. I understand the irony of drawing the line and saying, like, well, you let that through, like, why can't you let this through? You know, like, you want to be safe, so, you know, why can't we have drug testing, or why can't we take your guns away, or whatever? And not to, like, endorse or whatever the opposite of endorse is, gun control or drug testing. It's just a consequence of your decisions. So you choose something, but you don't have to choose the continuation of the effects of that decision. You can draw a line without explaining yourself, because it's like that book. If you give a mouse a cookie, then it's going to want milk, and then blah blah blah. I don't know what else happens after that. You let the smallest thing through, and everything tries to get through. But you don't have to let everything through. You can choose to draw the line, even if it's ironic and illogical to draw the line in any particular place. A line does need to be drawn, otherwise nothing means anything, and you just mindlessly consume for all eternity, mindlessly collect meaningless trinkets, or mindlessly obey the machine. There's benefits to the mechanism, and it doesn't need to be thrown away completely. But there's a point where we have to decide whether we're going to obey the letter of the law or the essence of what it stands for. We have to analyze why we make laws and use that as our guidance instead of instead of what the wording is. In other words, putting cameras on traffic lights is immoral and unconstitutional because it doesn't allow the opportunity for variables. It just tries to make it black and white for the sake of convenience. And when something is done in the name of laziness, it is essentially a decision to be suicidal. You should be evolving the machine, not simplifying it. There are times when you have to run a red light because it's safer. For example, if the roads are icy or you're going too fast, or there's a car that's too close behind you, there are situations where you have to run a red light. There are situations that you have to break the law to do what's right. You have to break the law to do what's right because, to quote the Boondock Saints, wait, I'm going to quote it right here. I'm going to put it. God's law is higher than man's law. Revolution means doing what is right, not what is legal. And they will trick you into thinking that you're being immoral because you're doing something illegal. But that's focusing on the letter of the law and not the essence of what it stands for.